Alexander was born in 356 BC in Pella, the vibrant capital of Macedon, a city bustling with life, culture, and the echoes of ancient legends. It was here, among marble columns and grand halls, that his remarkable story began. He was the son of King Philip II, a formidable military leader, and Olympias, a queen renowned for her intelligence and fierce ambition. Both parents were determined to shape their son into a ruler greater than any before him. From his earliest days, Alexander was surrounded by the intrigue and drama of the royal court. He witnessed political maneuvering, alliances, and betrayals, all while being groomed for greatness. The weight of expectation pressed upon his young shoulders. Recognizing his son's potential, King Philip sought the best education for Alexander. He summoned Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of the age, to personally tutor the young prince. For 3 years, Aristotle guided Alexander through the wonders of philosophy, science, literature, and politics. These lessons ignited in him a lifelong passion for knowledge, curiosity, and exploration, shaping his worldview and ambitions. This extraordinary education sharpened Alexander's mind, teaching him to think strategically and act decisively. He learned not only the art of war, but also the complexities of leadership and governance. A defining moment in his youth came when Alexander tamed the wild horse, Bucephalus, a feat no one else could accomplish. His insight, patience, and courage amazed his father and the entire court, marking him as a leader destined for greatness. Bucephalus became Alexander's loyal companion, following him into countless battles. The bond between horse and rider became legendary, symbolizing Alexander's unique character, confidence, and determination to overcome any challenge. But tragedy soon struck. King Philip was assassinated, leaving the kingdom in turmoil. At just 20 years old, Alexander was thrust onto the throne, forced to prove himself as king in a world filled with danger and uncertainty. Acting swiftly and decisively, Alexander eliminated his rivals and quelled rebellions, securing his rule over Macedon. His resolve and leadership inspired loyalty among his followers and fear among his enemies. With his authority firmly established, Alexander turned his gaze outward, determined to fulfill his father's greatest ambition, the conquest of the vast Persian Empire, a challenge that would test his abilities to the fullest. The young king, now a formidable leader, was poised to change the course of history forever. His ambitions stretched far beyond Macedon, reaching for glory on a scale the world had never seen. Alexander's journey from prince to conqueror had only just begun. The world stood on the brink of a new era, shaped by his vision and determination. Soon, the name Alexander the Great would echo across continents, remembered for centuries as one of history's most extraordinary leaders. At the heart of Alexander's army was the Macedonian phalanx, a disciplined block of infantry wielding 18-foot sarissas. This formation, perfected by his father, was nearly impenetrable from the front and devastating in battle. Alexander's genius was in combining the phalanx with light infantry, archers, and his elite companion cavalry. The phalanx pinned the enemy, while Alexander led the cavalry in decisive flanking charges. This hammer and anvil tactic shattered enemy lines and morale. Alexander's coordination of infantry and cavalry made his army the most formidable of its time. He adapted to every challenge, turning the battlefield into a stage for his brilliance. Victory after victory, his legend grew. The world had never seen a force so unstoppable. In the spring of 334 BC, Alexander the Great made a bold move that would change the course of history. With determination burning in his eyes, he led his army across the legendary Hellespont, the narrow strait separating Europe from Asia. This crossing was more than just a physical journey. It was a symbolic leap into the heart of the Persian Empire, a realm that had long dominated the ancient world. Alexander's force was relatively small compared to the vast Persian armies, but his men were fiercely loyal and highly trained. They marched in tight formation, their spirits high, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Declaring Asia as Spear One territory, Alexander made it clear that he intended not just to raid, but to conquer and claim these lands as his own. This bold proclamation sent a message to both his men and his enemies. He was here to stay. His first major challenge awaited at the banks of the Granicus River, where Persian satraps, regional governors loyal to King Darius, had assembled a formidable force to halt his advance. Despite the warnings of his seasoned generals, who urged caution, Alexander chose to attack head-on. He personally led a daring cavalry charge straight into the river, braving a deadly storm of arrows and spears. The battle that followed was brutal and chaotic. Alexander fought at the front lines, narrowly escaping death when a Persian noble nearly struck him down, only to be saved at the last moment by his loyal officer, Clitus the Black. Inspired by their king's fearless example, the Macedonian soldiers surged forward with renewed vigor, breaking through the Persian lines and sending their enemies fleeing in disarray. This stunning victory at the Granicus River flung open the gates of Asia Minor to Alexander's army, setting the stage for a relentless campaign of conquest that would echo through the ages. Undaunted by overwhelming odds or the dangers ahead, Alexander pressed on, his resolve only growing stronger with each challenge he overcame. Every hard-fought battle brought him one step closer to his ultimate ambition, the complete conquest of the Persian Empire and the forging of a new world order. With the fall of each city and the defeat of each enemy, the conquest of Persia truly began in earnest, reshaping the destiny of nations. The legend of Alexander the Great was only just beginning, destined to inspire awe and wonder for centuries to come. The Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BC was Alexander's ultimate showdown with King Darius III of Persia. Vastly outnumbered, Alexander faced a Persian army on a plain chosen for its chariots and size. Rejecting a night attack, Alexander chose to fight in daylight, confident in his strategy and men. He angled his army right, drawing Persian cavalry away and creating a gap in their line. At the perfect moment, Alexander led his companion cavalry in a wedge formation straight at Darius. The shock broke the Persian center. Darius fled, and his army collapsed in panic. This victory shattered Persian resistance and made Alexander master of Asia. His tactical brilliance at Gaugamela became legendary. The Persian Empire was his. Alexander had achieved the impossible. The world was now his stage. With Persia conquered, Alexander stood at the edge of the known world, his empire stretching farther than any before him. Yet his ambition was insatiable. Driven by dreams of glory and a desire to reach lands no Greek had ever seen, Alexander pressed further east, leading his army into the wilds of Central Asia and the mysterious lands of India. For years, he and his men endured brutal guerrilla warfare, ambushed by elusive enemies in unforgiving terrain, rocky mountains, dense forests and arid plains. The endless hardships tested not only the endurance of his army, but also Alexander's own resolve. The strain of constant conflict and suspicion began to darken his once charismatic personality. Paranoia and bursts of anger became more frequent, culminating in the tragic killing of Clitus, a trusted friend, during a heated argument, an act that haunted Alexander deeply. Still, he pressed on, undeterred by loss or hardship. He led his weary troops across the icy passes of the Hindu Kush and into the fertile Indus Valley, determined to conquer whatever lay ahead. There he faced King Porus and his fearsome war elephants at the Hydaspes River. The battle was fierce and costly, pushing his army to its absolute limits. Many wondered if victory was worth the price, but Alexander's leadership carried them through, and he prevailed once more. Yet the death of his beloved horse Bucephalus, who had carried him through countless battles, and the exhaustion etched on his men's faces, marked a turning point in the campaign. The spirit of conquest began to wane. When Alexander announced his bold plans to march even further east, into lands unknown, his army finally mutinied. They had reached their breaking point, worn down by years of hardship, longing for home. For the first time, Alexander relented, agreeing to turn back. The dream of reaching the world's end was over. The journey that had once seemed limitless now had a boundary. The return journey would be perilous, filled with new dangers and challenges as they crossed deserts and hostile lands. But Alexander's conquest had forever redrawn the map of the ancient world, creating a legacy that would echo through history. Yet for his men, the greatest desire was no longer glory, but the simple hope of returning home. The age of endless conquest was ending. For Alexander and his army, a new and uncertain chapter awaited, one shaped by the memories and scars of their epic journey. The return from India was disastrous. Alexander led his men through the deadly Gedrosian desert, losing thousands. Survivors staggered into Babylon, where Alexander began reshaping his empire, blending Greek and Persian cultures. He organized mass weddings and integrated Persian soldiers, sparking resentment among his Macedonian veterans. Restless, Alexander planned new campaigns, eyeing Arabia and even Rome. But in 323 BC, at just 32, he fell ill after a banquet in Babylon. 10 days of fever left him speechless and bedridden. On June 10th or 11th, Alexander died, leaving no clear heir. His sudden death shocked the world and plunged his empire into chaos. He left his kingdom to the strongest, igniting decades of civil war. The conqueror's journey ended as abruptly as it began. His legacy would be fought over for generations. Alexander's death sparked a new struggle, this time for his body. His generals, the Diadochi, saw his remains as a symbol of legitimacy. Ptolemy hijacked the funeral procession, bringing Alexander's body to Egypt and enshrining it in Alexandria. The tomb became a legendary site, visited by Roman emperors and revered for centuries. Then, mysteriously, it vanished from history. Earthquakes, religious zeal, or secret relocation. No one knows what happened to Alexander's tomb. Its fate remains one of history's greatest mysteries. For 2,000 years, the search has continued. The lost tomb of Alexander is the ultimate archaeological prize. Alexander's death shattered his empire, but his influence only grew. His generals carved out kingdoms: Ptolemaic Egypt, the Seleucid Empire, Macedon, ushering in the Hellenistic Age. Greek language and culture spread from the Mediterranean to India, creating a cosmopolitan world. Alexander founded dozens of cities, most famously Alexandria in Egypt, which became a center of learning and innovation. The Library of Alexandria and its scholars preserved and advanced human knowledge. Greek ideas fused with Eastern traditions, producing new art, science, and religion. The Hellenistic world was a melting pot, more diverse and interconnected than ever before. Alexander's conquests broke down barriers, setting the stage for Rome and the modern West. He didn't just conquer, he transformed civilizations. The world he left behind was forever changed. His vision shaped the course of history. The Hellenistic legacy endures. Alexander's story echoes through the ages, inspiring leaders from Caesar to Napoleon. He set the standard for ambition and military genius, becoming the archetype of the conqueror. His empire spread Greek culture, language, and ideas, laying the groundwork for the Hellenistic world and beyond. The New Testament was written in Greek, and the intellectual achievements of his era fueled the Renaissance and Islamic Golden Age. Alexander's vision of a multicultural, interconnected world foreshadowed globalization. The cities he founded remain vital centers today. His legacy is complex, hero and tyrant, visionary and destroyer. Yet his impact on history, culture, and the very map of the world is undeniable.